I have 8 quick final thoughts here. First is OpenAI as we know it is likely done. There's a great thread I will put in the notes from Reed Albergati, the tech editor for Semaphore, and he outlines in detail why. And in essence, Microsoft controls the IP. All the training is done in Azure. So anything the OpenAI team does, the Microsoft team can learn from that data. They have, in theory, all the talent. Like it's really hard to imagine a scenario where OpenAI comes out of this as anything more than a shadow of its former self and a nonprofit research lab that has no computing power and no talent. Like, unless some dramatic twist happens, OpenAI as we've known it is just gone. The second thing, and this was one I thought of right before I kind of came on to record this, OpenAI customers and partners have to be just scrambling like crazy right now. So if you've built a wrapper on top of their API and you have some service built on this, you have to be wondering, is it even going to be on in 3 days? If you're a customer that maybe signed up for ChatGPT Enterprise, or if you're like probably millions of people who just built some GPTs for free, you have to really be wondering, what is the future of OpenAI? And so I would think that the phones are ringing off the hook or the emails are burning up for Anthropic and Cohere and Google and Amazon, all the other companies who stand to benefit, whose customers may want a more stable company. So this totally just throws massive disruption into that whole ecosystem. The third thing, and I haven't really thought too much about this yet, but this is sort of like top of mind. The open source AI crowd. So again, if you listen to the podcast, you have the closed source and the open source. Closed being OpenAI, Google, they're building their own proprietary models. You don't know the weights, you can't really manipulate anything. And then the open source crowd, that's like Meta putting out Llama and tools like that. The open source crowd just got the greatest argument they could have ever wanted not to centralize AI into a few closed tech companies. So if we can't trust the people building what is pretty commonly agreed to be the most powerful current AI in the world, if we can't trust them to govern themselves, how are we supposed to trust them to govern general intelligence and superintelligence? The fourth thing is I feel like Elon Musk has been extremely controlled in his tweeting, which is highly unusual. And I got to think there's some role here for him other than just recruiting a bunch of people to XAI to build Grok. So if you remember, Elon Musk put up the initial money for OpenAI. He came up with the name for OpenAI. He created OpenAI because he feared Google didn't understand the impact it could have on humanity. So he tried to build a counterbalance. He then was exited from the company and the board because Sam won a power struggle to build the for-profit engine. If OpenAI is now the nonprofit that Elon envisioned to start, how does Elon not get back involved in some capacity? So I have no idea what it is, but it just seems like we're going to hear from Elon before this is all said and done. I also, number 5, think Anthropic plays some role here. So again, Dario Amodei, the co-founder of Anthropic, left OpenAI in 2019 and took 10% of the staff with him because they were concerned about the for-profit engine being built and the race to build AGI in a non-safe way. And so he built Anthropic focused on AI safety and constitutional AI. So what is the play there? Like, do all the OpenAI employees who still believe in the mission just go work for Anthropic? Like they don't want to build the profit, they want to save humanity? I don't know. But again, there's something there. 6 is I think we are about to see an accelerated and more distributed race to build next frontier models. This talent, hundreds of the top AI researchers in the world are going to disperse, whether it's to, Google or Amazon or NVIDIA or Cohere or Anthropic or Inflection, like wherever they go, or they go start their own things. They're going to accelerate the development of this technology. Now, the one factor to consider here is chips, the NVIDIA chips, the computing power that builds these things is still limited and centralized with a few big companies. So you can't leave OpenAI and say, I'm going to go build my own language model and think you're going to compete with the computing power these other companies have. So I think it's like it accelerates the development of the frontier models, but they're probably still centralized in like 4 to 5 key companies. Number 7 is I assume the government is watching all of this with very high interest, and it is absolutely going to impact their next move and the speed with which they make their next move, because they now see how dangerous this is, how quickly these things can get out of control when you're relying on these few select companies. So I would expect we will hear something from the government in the not too distant future. And then the final thought I have, and the final thing I'll leave you with is, to me, the key question in all of this is, what did Sam witness in that room? And has OpenAI made a breakthrough in the pursuit of AGI or superintelligence? So if we go back and we think about the charter to protect humanity, we think about the mission from day one to build AGI safely. And we go back to that quote from Sam at the APEC summit when he talked about moving past the veil of ignorance and the frontier of discovery moving forward. When we think about those things, it really makes me wonder, what have they done? Has there been some milestone in the development of AI that we're not privy to yet, and that played a role in the board's thinking and action? So I think we'll soon learn why the board made the move it did. They can't obviously keep this secret forever. And I believe OpenAI's mission is to ensure, or that their mission to ensure the AGI benefits all humanity will play a critical part in this conversation at some point soon. So I hope this was all helpful to add context to the story. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being a part of our community and to, regularly supporting this podcast. Um, I'm sure crazy stuff has happened since I've been on recording this. We'll try and do our best to keep up with it. Um, I post regularly on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I would say between now and next week, follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'll try and share the latest news and information.